Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're doing good today. It's Saturday in the afternoon here. This is also good about our online program. Another thing that is great is that we can study every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I think that if we study that much, we will definitely achieve our goals. What do you think? We have lots of time to study. More flexible. I think having flexibility in our lives or a more flexible schedule, I think it actually could reduce stress. What do you think? Deadlines, targets, trying to keep one schedule, could it actually cause more stress? Very interesting question. I feel that being more flexible can reduce stress. But I don't know. Why don't you share your opinion, everyone? Okay, first let's get to this before I get out of track. Let's get to this reading. So it says here, the birth of our modern minds. Wow. If you believe in the evolutionary theory, then or the scientific perspective, you have to believe that we were monkeys before. Right? Because that's what evolutionary theory suggests, that we evolved from microorganisms and then into mammals, and then we connected, we come from apes, Homo sapiens. That's what this one's about. But the question here is, when did we develop our modern minds? The mind that is capable of traveling to other planets in our solar system, or at least that's what they say. The mind that has created all this technology. And according to some, the mind that has created this coronavirus. I'm not sure. I'm just giving you all the different perspectives. That's what I have to do. Anyway, when did this mind evolve? It says here, when did we begin to use symbols to communicate? Roger Highfield reports on a challenge to prevailing ideas, common ideas, prevailing, common. Okay, let's go down to the questions. So this is actually page 56, 57, and now page 58. 57 first. Questions 27 to 32. So it's just answer the questions. No more than 3 words. So just answer questions, okay? And we look at our guide. That one should be, our guide is page 59 to page 61. Sentence completion. So looks to me like this one is just sentence completion. No, not sentence completion. It's more, could be just fill in the blank. Yeah, answer the questions, fill in the blank. So they should follow a linear pattern, meaning question 27 is first, question 28 is second. The answer to question 28 cannot be above 27. That's what it means linear. First this one, then second, then third. Okay? Often reversal of information is common. Well, that means, let's look at question 27. According to the current view, what does not indicate the first appearance of the modern human? Well, I can't really explain this reversal idea here, but I will explain it in other examples, okay? Yes, read, rephrase. Try to generalize the ideas. So according to the current view, what does not indicate the first appearance of the modern human? So just from all the theories that we have, what doesn't explain when we've had the first intelligent human? What doesn't? That's all. That one's pretty clear. Says keyword search for information that connects to keywords. Well, in this example, the modern appearance of the modern human is the main key and does not, they emphasize not here, but usually in the exams they don't. Okay? (28) What type of evidence does Lord Renfrew question in general? So here, evidence. Again, this one's very straightforward. I would say the key word here is Lord Renfrew. When does it talk about Lord Renfrew in the text? Okay. 29. What, apart from art, were the developments in the creation of 40,000 years ago? So apart from art, so not including, apart from, not including art. So not including art, what more was developed 40,000 years ago? Well, key here is 40,000 years ago and developments during that time. Okay. 30. What kind of cave art in Britain is referred to? So referred to, does it mention here, talk about, referred to, mention, talk about? So cave art in Britain. Let me just erase this or it's going to be too much for after. Let's go one by one. 31. Which two things does Lord Renfrew believe to have been established 10,000 years ago? So Lord Renfrew, he must have been some scientist. And British, because in Britain, they have this high honor. Some honor they give to some people. Or the Queen gives it to some people. And that is the recognition of Lord. So Renfrew is the last name. If you get that special recognition from the Queen, then you're referred to as Lord Renfrew. So if you want to get that kind of recognition from the Queen, then first you better pass your IELTS with level 9. Okay? If you get 9 on the IELTS Academic, then the Queen will call you Lord. I can see some of you, I can see that term matching you very well. For example, well, let's not get there. So, 10,000 years ago, what does Lord Renfrew think was created or established? So again, the key word here is 10,000 years ago and Lord Renfrew. Okay? So 32, what two things did the notion of personal possessions lead to? Personal possessions is definitely the key here. Somewhere where it talks about possessions, things you have. So this idea or notion, the idea of, lead to, cause, result. Okay? Good. So I don't think that the guide, let's look at the guide again. Focus on words. So this was more about fill in the blank again, but the ones we have here is not fill in the blank. It's just answer the questions. You do have some of that. So you need to understand and rephrase the whole question. All right, let's go now to page 58. Okay, classification. So for questions 33 to 40, we need to choose A, 10,000 years ago, B, 40,000 years ago, C, 60,000 years ago, or D, 70,000 years ago. So let's see what our guide says. Page 60. Classification. Yes, throughout the text. I think we did a classification a few days ago, or the first reading in this unit. And there was the, I don't remember now, but I believe that each idea, each sentence could be in order, but the answers may not be in order. Anyways, no matter what, we do need to read each one. Read and rephrase. And then the keyword search. Vocabulary association important. What does that mean? Let's see. Let's read question 33. The brain was completely formed physically, but was not capable of all the functions of the modern mind. So when we rephrase, it just says the brain was, everything was formed physically. Like it means it's similar to what we have right now. It's the biological formation of the brain was there. But it couldn't do or was not capable of functioning, doing the things that the modern mind can do, whatever that is. Maybe it could be using tools or using technology. As the new generation develops, it's easier for the new generations to use whatever tools or technology or learn anything of that generation. But for older generations, it's difficult, right? For example, my nephew, who's only 6 years old, he can use a smartphone very easily. But my mother, now in her 60s, she's still not able to use a cell phone, and she doesn't like it. This is what this question is saying, or what it's trying to suggest. Even though our brain is the same physically, it can't function the same way, okay? So when we have vocabulary association, like our guide says, we need to make sure that we're not just looking for where it talks about the brain or where it talks about the modern mind. We need to connect the whole sentence together to understand it better. Because if we're just looking for words, we are not going to understand very clearly. Okay? Process of elimination. Right, we could check. It's not 10, it's not 40, maybe it's 60 or 70 and look more clearly. That's what it means. But we only have 4 choices. So sometimes you can have like 10. That's harder. Well, I wouldn't say 10, maybe 6. Okay, let's read the other questions. 34. There was a major change in the attitude of humans to each other. So humans started to act differently to each other. Okay, sounds straightforward. 35. A huge amount of art in different forms began to appear. Again, very clear, just lots of art, different types, started to become common. When? 36. Development of the human mind occurred at the same time as migration. So it says that we started to get something similar to the mind that we have now when migration was occurring. Migration, movement. People were moving from place to place. Can't do that now, so maybe our brain is going to go back. It's going to regress since we're stuck in our homes. Maybe. But not for the students learning IELTS. They're learning more now because they can spend all their time studying. I was just laughing. Okay, 37. Art from the period casts doubt on the conventional view of the development of the human mind. So it says that there's some art from some period or some time that casts doubt, makes us not believe. We doubt, we are not sure. Many people doubt what is going on with this virus. Or something is causing us to doubt. To cast means to make happen. On the conventional view. So on the normal view, conventional, normal, traditional of the development of the human mind. So some art from that period makes us not be sure about the traditional view of when the mind developed. Okay? 38. The modern mind developed in a different location from the one normally assumed. So that one's very straightforward. It developed in a different place than we normally think or usually think, assumed, think, believed to be. 39. The only significant change in the development of man is shown in the art produced. So, during this time, or one of these time periods up here, the only change that happened was in art. You see, that's why art is so important for us, because our ancestors, they were artists. I guess they didn't really have many choices. Okay. 40. Further research into the period is essential for accurate conclusions to be drawn on human development. So we need more research to make accurate, correct, true conclusions or findings to be drawn, to be made, or to be chosen about the human development, okay? So we need more research. Of course we need more research. That's always the conclusion of any scientific study. We need more research. Okay, so I have those in mind. I have these in mind. Now let's get to the reading. Okay, so let's see here. So, anyone who doubts the important 40,000 years ago is already appearing here. Let's see here, 40,000. So maybe it's already important. It says here, Stone Age technology as a creative explosion. Creative explosion that rocked Europe 40,000 years ago. Our ancestors began to adorn their bodies. So to kind of draw. Adorn means like decorate. Some kind of creative explosion 40,000 years ago. I'm just looking at this clearly because I remember some questions about art during that time, 40,000 years ago. Let's see. The brain, no, not attitude. Maybe art in huge amount of art. Creative explosion in different forms began to appear 40,000 years ago. Because it also says, look what types of arts? It says with beads, pendants, tattoos, they painted representations of animal caves. So I think that this is correct. 40,000 years ago for number 35. Creative explosion is the key there. So B. We can always change it after if we're not sure. Let's see here. So let's just put it here. B. Okay. Okay, let's continue. This culpable. This cultural Big Bang coincided. Oh, I see migration here. Yeah. It says here. This cultural Big Bang coincided with modern humans reached Europe after they set out near the east from Africa. So it says that this cultural Big Bang coincided with, happened at the same time.
Alert from mouse batteries low.
As they were migrating from north to Europe by the Near East from Africa. What question is that? Let's look. Not this one is the first one here, so no. Same time right there. And that was 40,000 years ago. So B. So, B here as well for 36. So, occurred at the same time, coincided with is the key there. So 36 is here. 35 is here. Okay. And it says here the modern mind was born at that time. Okay. Let's continue along. Or was it dogma? The dogma. I like that word. Dogma means strong belief, but maybe it's not even real. Like some people, they believe in one book so much, but maybe it's not even true. It's called dogma. So a strong belief in something. So this strong belief that the modern human mind originated in Europe around 100 took place Middle East. Oh. Here's Lord Renfrew. So I remember a question about maybe it was in the Middle East where this modern mind was born. 10,000 years ago, the Middle East. Lord Renfrew. Let's look here. It says here in a different location from the normally assumed. Maybe 38A, 10,000. Maybe. That's what it says here. So most people think that it originated in Europe. That's what it seems to suggest here. The modern human mind originated in Europe 40,000 years ago. But some think it's more recent, around 10,000 years ago, and took place in the Middle East, which is what it says right here. The modern mind developed in a different location, Middle East, from the one normally assumed. I think that's correct. We can always change it as we read it. That's 10,000, so that's A. And that was number 38. So let's see what it says about Lord Renfrew. Lord Renfrew, professor of archaeology at Cambridge. Troubled by this paradox, genetic findings. Big brains emerged 100. Genetic findings? So it says he's troubled by that. I remember that question. What type of evidence does Lord Renfrew question in general? So looks like he's talking about genetic. Is troubled by or question the sapient behavior paradox. So the sapient behavior paradox is the name of that, but it's genetic findings is the evidence. So is trouble Lord Renfrew, starts right here, troubled by what he calls genetic findings. Genetic findings. So no more than 3 words, so 2. Now, I have 28, but I don't have 27. So it means that 27 should be above 28. So what does not indicate the first appearance of the modern human? Let me look. Okay, so looking doesn't one man. Okay, so looking up here, the only thing that says is not here. It says not so marked, not marked by Stone Age technology as a creative explosion. So what it's trying to tell us about here, about human evolution, is that it's not so much about Stone Age technology. Lots of people think Stone Age technology means when the first humans, they made tools from stone, and they used stones to build houses and things like that. But it says maybe it's not about, here the key is not so much marked or suggested by Stone Age technology. I think that's the answer there, okay? For number 27, let me put it down here. Stone Age technology. So does not indicate the first appearance of the modern human. So it says Stone Age technology may not suggest it, like art. 27. So that one is right here. So because I found 28 down here, I knew that 27 had to be above. That's where I went up here. Okay? Okay, so we're now on 29, 40,000 years ago, apart from art. And we have many questions here still. Okay. When humans were fully developed about 60,000. Here's 60,000 years ago. Homo sapiens evolved from Homo erectus. This is talking about anthropology. Anthropology studies the first humans or the first human civilizations. For some reason, they really like to talk about anthropology in IELTS. There's many readings about anthropology. Some people say it's very boring. Others say it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. Okay. So, yeah, this is about anthropology. So, Homo sapiens and Homo erectus are anthropological terms about the first humans or our first relatives, our ancestors. Okay. So it says that they had big brains which started 150,000 years ago and they were fully developed 60,000 years ago. Not there. Could be 33, 60,000 years ago. Didn't say they couldn't do all the functions. Maybe we read a little bit more. Okay, right. So let's see. But this hardware was not sufficient for money. Right. Potential for change. So it said nothing happened. So we had the brain. We're fully developed 16,000 years ago. Our big brains emerged. They were developed 60,000 years ago. But this hardware was not sufficient for modern behavior. There we go. So it says we had this, but we had a fully developed brain, but we couldn't, the functions were not the same. 60,000 years ago, okay? So let's see here. So we had the brains, but we couldn't use them, okay? Okay, so let's continue. 30,000 says that's when something else happened, but it doesn't say what. So let's continue. Okay, so here was 33. Although there's no doubt, it is doubtful whether molecular sequence, said Lord Renfrew. So there he is again, Lord Renfrew's big in this. The Paleolithic periods. Ooh, 40,000 years ago. Doesn't seem like that far away for all this. Isn't it amazing how we have developed so much up till now? I'll mention that after, but it says 40,000 years ago, it was Paleolithic. I think that's the period when the dinosaurs lived. The Neanderthals, another group from another group of our ancestors. Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, and then Neanderthals. I see something here. Okay, so I scanned this paragraph. You notice how I'm scanning, everyone. I'm not reading one word per second. I scanned that whole thing already, and I see only one thing. There are detailed changes in tools. So it says that the only important advancement is cave art. Not much except cave art. That reminds me of a question. Okay, so not art. Apart from art, what were the developments in the creation of 40,000 years ago? That's what's there. Here's 40,000 years ago. Okay, not look much different. So, okay. Okay, I see it here. It says, so it's talking about 40,000 years ago. It says there's nothing much except for cave art, but something else. Looks like tools. Yeah, right there. It says the one that we can really see is art. Some changes in tools and so on, but the main one, art. So aside from art, says the question, apart from art, what were the other developments? To what we just read, it says tools. From this part here. Some changes in tools. Cave art, okay? 29. So we are going in order here. Good. Maybe something else in down here. Let's see. Nope. No. Maybe 39. 40,000 years ago. It says the main one is art. So I think that's correct from the same part. Okay. The significant change. Striking. Remember, striking means very important. Cave art. We can always change answers after, but I think that that's correct as well for number 39. Okay, let's keep reading. And this was patchy. Two pieces of oak engraved. People were able to think abstractly. So they were to think abstractly. Think more open-minded, more open-minded. As you can think with many different views, many different ideas. Okay? So, looks like I remember something about this art. What kind of art in Britain is referred to? It's said here, British, you see here. In Britain, the oldest known cave art consists of 12,000-year-old engravings. In Britain. Okay. This one here, this oak engraved is in Blombos Cave, South Africa. But in Britain, 12,000-year-old engravings. So it looks like that is the answer, engravings. Engravings for 30, what kind of art? Right there. Okay, let's keep reading. Lord Renfrew, here it is again. Like genetics does not tell the whole. The real revolution occurred 10,000 years ago with the first permanent villages. Okay, so it's talking about permanent villages. He suggests that. It says here, what two things does Lawrence believe to have been established 10,000 years ago? permanent villages, it looks like that's one. Or villages, at least. That is what affects. Work together. So, villages for sure. He says villages made people worked together. So, Lord Renfrew is up here. For him, the real revolution occurred 10,000 years ago. Permanent villages. So, new sovereign allowing us to work together. Plants and animals were domesticated and agriculture was born. That is when plants and animals were domesticated. Two things does Lord Renfrew believe to have been established. We need only 3 words. So it looks like to me like those 3 words are villages and agriculture. Let me delete this one and put it here. Villages and agriculture. Now, why those 3 words, you're wondering? Okay, well, 2 major things. And from this here, it says we have villages. This allowed people to work together. And then they domesticated plants and animals were domesticated. That is agriculture. So it says people lived in villages and they worked basically on agriculture. So those are the 2 things, villages and agriculture. I guess you could, actually, you might not need and. You could put permanent villages. We don't need we don't need permanent really. Just villages, when we have to put 2 things, we could just put it like this. We don't need and. It just can be villages, agriculture with a comma. So what I'm trying to say is you could put permanent. You don't need it as well. The main thing is just villages and villages agriculture. Okay, so that was question 31. Okay, 10,000 years ago, maybe that's another question from down here. Because we do have 10,000 years ago. Maybe humans living together. Could be. Art from that period. Could be the paragraph before. I think major change in the attitude of humans to each other. I mean, they live together in a more settled way. I think that was 10,000 years ago from right here. 34. It says that they live together in a more settled way right there. Okay, right here. Our ancestors to work together. I think so, and that's 10,000 years ago. Then there was something over here about 2 pieces. Not really sure about this one. Humans This means people were able to think abstractly and behave as modern humans much earlier than previously thought. Okay. 2 pieces of oak engraved with German pattern 70,000 years ago. Was there one for 70,000? There is one right there. Yeah. So this one here. Go. Okay. This means people were able to think abstractly, behave much earlier than previously thought. So that one there, I believe, is the answer for number 37. Art, the art from that time, cast doubt, makes us think that maybe modern humans developed earlier, it says. That's D, 70,000 years ago. Okay. So the art, again, let's read it carefully. Don't get confused. It says, oak engraved with geometrical patterns 70,000 years ago were recently found at Plombo's Cave, 180 miles east of Cape Town, South Africa. So they found this art there. What does that mean? Well, this means people were able to think abstractly and behave as modern humans much earlier than previously thought. Let's put it there as well. 38. All right, so we're almost done. 32, 2 things that the notion of person would lead to, and no, 37 here. Further research. 37, not 38. Okay. First, there were nests of skulls. New York, southern Mesopotamia. Living in timber, Monterey leads to different engagement. So here it's talking about how our ancestors and the material world, I don't think it was until settled villages or communities that you had the concept of property. So it says that because they were living in villages, they were behaving differently with each other, which is the same answer for that 31 about attitude of humans to each other, 10,000. Okay, just confirming that one. I see here possessions. There's a keyword. So it says, this in turn could have introduced the need for mathematics to keep a tally of possessions and written language to describe them. Very interesting. So that's this question here. It says, what 2 things did the notion of personal possessions lead to? It says, when we got possessions, we needed math to tally them. Tally is another word for count or keep count of. Like you just draw a little line, 1 line 1, 2 lines 2, 3 lines 3. That's tally. So we needed math to tally them and language to describe them. So mathematics and language. And we do have to put mathematics. Okay. Good. So now we're just down to the last question. Further research into the period is essential. Well, let's see. Mm-hmm. So I see here it says, until we understand, we have not solved anything about the origins of modern humans until we understand what happened 10,000 years ago, he said. There you go. We need more research into 10,000 years ago. That's A. Okay. 40 is right here. Okay, very interesting. Well, I think that was a very interesting reading. Makes me think about, wow. So you're telling me that 10,000 years ago we were this monkey walking around drawing pictures on rocks, and now we have this modern society that we have today with computers, with smartphone technology or nanotechnology. Wow. Plus these viruses going around. Makes me really ponder on humanity and where it all came from and where it's all going. And you know what? That's why my major is philosophy, as some of you may know. I really like to think about the origins of humanity and the future. More to come about that, okay? So, there you go, everyone. We got all the answers there. I don't think I need to recheck any of them. I'm pretty confident about each one. But if you have any questions, please do comment. Okay, again, you need to be reading each part very carefully. Why, if you need to understand why the answer is the answer. I've tried to explain it as much as I can. But if you need more explanation, don't be afraid to comment and ask. Please. Okay, that concludes our 3 readings for this unit. All right. And tomorrow, okay. I think next we will be examining the readings from the test, okay? Wonderful, everyone. And I will be back shortly with another reading analysis.